Welcome to the spring edition of the Webster Insider. We're coming to you from Media Commons in Swerdrup Hall, home of the School of Communications. I'm Kennedy Moore.
And I'm Josh Wright. The Biden administration's student loan forgiveness plan is awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court in a ruling that could affect up to 40 million borrowers. And while we don't expect a decision to come down from the High Court until June, the student loans and the increasingly high cost of higher education continue to be top of mind for students. Webster Insider's Gerald Burton joins us with the story. Gerald?
Thank you, Josh. The Webster Financial Aid Office has been working to ensure students are fully aware of aid opportunities available to them this spring, which is also scholarship season.
The priority deadline for FAFSA, the federal student aid program, has come and gone, but the university continues to reach out to students to help them better understand the importance of assessing the additional funding.
Our goal is to not only educate, but to ultimately graduate, right? And to be a partner in that. And so I think it's important for students to actually serve as partners in their own trajectory of success. And that's meeting those deadlines, asking necessary questions.
Director of Financial Aid, Jennifer Bell, agrees, saying those difficult questions need to be addressed.
Parents don't have their taxes done. It presents a barrier for students to meet the deadlines that would enable them to be competitive for financial aid opportunities that they would otherwise be eligible for.
There are students who may not even be aware that there are aid opportunities available. And unfortunately, worrying about paying for college causes many current students and potential ones to lose enthusiasm for continuing school.
For the high school students that are coming into college, their difficulties are not even knowing which school that they have the opportunity to go to because they have not completed the FAFSA, so they don't know what their financial aid package looks like from the universities that they've chosen to apply to. And I think the lack of knowledge keeps a lot of students, especially students of color, from even going to university.
For students who would like to know more about opportunities for receiving aid and scholarships, the financial aid located right here in Webster Hall is a perfect place to start. For the Webster Insider, I'm Gerald Burton.
Conversations about safety and prevention are a constant topic of discussion these days for Webster University officials.
The university is reviewing new data in the wake of last month's deadly shooting at Michigan State. The attack underscores the fact that college campuses are not immune to the mass shooting. Current Webster students and their peers have grown up through the years being made aware and preparing for what others consider to be a sad reality. Lauren Brennicky has our report.
Even those who've grown up in the era of mass shootings are struggling to make sense of it all.
I kind of say to myself, like, it's not going to happen to me. But it's just becoming so common that there's a very good chance that it could happen to me.
Last fall, tragedy struck Central Visual and Performing Arts High School in St. Louis when a 19-year-old opened fire, killing a 15-year-old student and a teacher.
Honestly, it made me feel really shocked and really scared at that point because it was something that I never expected to happen, especially there. Because it always seemed like such a safe building that I never thought that that was going to happen. Since especially after the shooting that happened in CVPA, where I do feel unsafe, a bit scared of going to school. But at the same time, it's something that I don't like to think about it much because I feel like the more that I think about it, the more scared and paranoid I get.
Students are not the only ones in distress. Teachers, too, are adjusting. Safety protocols such as ALICE that address active shooter preparedness have been introduced since the Columbine Massacre of 1999.
All of that, while that was good to know, it's good to know those things. The best thing that I've been told, the one thing that has stayed in my heart and on the tip of my brain, is that there is no policy, there is no official rule about what I must do in case of an emergency like this, in case of an intruder. I, as the adult in the room, as the teacher, make those decisions. If it's a choice I make, and those children's lives are in my hands. I want to appear calm. I want to appear in control. And I let them know that every teacher in this school knows what to do in case of an emergency, and you will be safe. Will they be safe? I hope so.
Here at Webster, a review of policies was held in the days following the Michigan State shooting. University spokesman Patrick Giblin tells me Webster has required key card entry to all buildings since the start of the pandemic, a move that has significantly cut down on the number of people wandering through buildings, and, interestingly enough, on the number of theft. Webster also uses an online alert system called Rave, which sends emergency alerts through cell phones. Back to you.
Thank you, Lauren. This year, Webster University welcomed its largest number of international students to the home campus since the pandemic. Among them is Webster Insider's Pepa Marzan, who reports on the ways newcomers are learning to navigate on campus, as well as adapt to American life.
The United States is one of the biggest destinations for people all around the globe to study for college. But as exciting as it seems, for those who hail overseas, it is a huge change to leave their home country, family, and culture behind. Luckily, for Webster University students, the Multicultural Center on campus offers a range of service, from sharing information about joining cultural clubs to providing support regarding international travel.
So we advise all the student groups, and so we do that because we want to make sure that students have a sense of belonging on campus and a place that they feel like they matter.
Cultural shock happens as a result of moving from a familiar culture to one that is unfamiliar. It is not a surprise that most of the international students we spoke with had been impacted by that.
I miss Japanese food a lot, and one of the most thing I have shocked is there are no bathtub in my room, that I can't take bath after taking shower, which I used to do that every day when I was in Japan.
The French mindset is really different from the American mindset. For example, when I came here, I think the Americans are really open-minded, and when I came, they always like asking if you want some help or everything. Versus in France, I think people are more not close-minded, but they're not gonna come to talk to you. Only if I'm gonna come, but they're not gonna come by themselves.
When a person moves to a different country, meeting new people helps them to not feel alone.
It was hard for me, to be honest, but I made new friends. We supported each other. Webster is a very friendly community that helped me a lot to adapt to this place.
It's a blend, a mix of like different people and different cultures that are here and that are nurtured and that we learn and from each other, and we grow and expand our knowledge.
Being an international student is not only an enriching experience for them, but also for the host country they choose. One report notes international students at American colleges and universities contribute $33.8 billion to the U.S. economy and support more than 335,000 jobs. Kennedy?
Thank you, Peppa. In other news, the old courthouse is one of our city's most iconic landmarks, and soon it will be completely transformed. Its place in history is also being elevated, and rightly so. Reporter Carla Vequez Mejia has details. Carla?
Yes, Kennedy. Just a few weeks ago, I attended a news conference downtown where the National Park Service and the Gateway Arch Park Foundation announced major renovations for the old courthouse. The goal of this massive undertaking is to present one of the city's biggest landmarks in a new light, as well as maintain the legacy of one of the most monumental cases in American history that began here in 1846.
Because of its historic significance from the Dred and Harriet Scott trial, which eventually went to the Supreme Court and was one of the most important cases in U.S. Supreme Court history.
In Scott versus Sanford, Dred Scott, a Missouri slave, brought his fight for freedom before the court. The eventual decision from the U.S. Supreme Court hastened the country's march toward the Civil War.
This building is very important because it maintains the legacy of Dred and Harriet Scott. They came here in 1846 not to get their freedom, but to receive their freedom.
This is only the second major renovation for the old courthouse since the 1860s, just a few short years after the Scott ruling came down.
New exhibits being developed right now that will include the story of Dred and Harriet Scott. So all updated, new exhibits, fully accessible.
Yeah, this renovation is definitely going to maintain their legacy because for the first time, one of the full galleries will be dedicated to African American history, and Dred and Harriet's story as well as others will be shown in that gallery on the northeast side. I'm very, very excited about that.
The renovations are underway in the old courthouse, which will remain closed during the construction. All work is expected to be completed by early 2025. For the Webster Insider, I'm Carla Vasquez Mejia.
Members of the LGBTQ+ community can face many challenges in their day-to-day life. And while today's society seems a little more accepting, it's not as apparent in the world of college athletics. Webster Insider's Kaylin Triggs is here with the story. Kaylin?
Josh, all student athletes battle every day to do well in the classroom and in their respected sport. Gay college athletes have all the stress that comes with classes, practices, and competitions, with the added component of learning to be themselves and still fit in.
Middle school was a turning point for Webster track athlete Landon Garland.
In middle school, you don't really know what gay is. You just know it's more necessarily as an insult at that time than it was oh, you're gay. But then then when I started looking into it, it was like, well, shoot, maybe I am.
Fellow track athlete, sophomore Abby Zielinski's journey of self-discovery also started in middle school and has continued since.
And it wasn't until I got to college then, and I never really was in the closet while at college. It's kind of just like, okay, like, I'm gay, like, it's not a secret, but it's not something I gotta, like, publicly announcing.
Women athletes already have a hard time in sports, constantly being judged for what some perceive to be their lack of feminism. Despite having confidence on campus and on the track team as a thrower, Zielinski still has personal struggles. She says while her family was very accepting when she came out, she still hides her sexuality from her grandparents.
That, like, my girlfriend will come over for dinner, like, while I'm at their place, and we are just roommates then. And that sometimes sucks, especially when they talk about, like, my sister's boyfriend and stuff. And then there's just, oh, Abby's roommate. So that sucks a little bit.
For Garland, a junior, it's a constant battle of self-expression. Garland competes in the pole vault for Webster track, recently breaking the school record at the Indoor Conference Championships. However, his journey as an athlete started under the Friday night lights as a football player.
For football and for track, it was all fit in, don't stand out too much, you know. There was no need for exploration when it came to self-expression because everybody looked the same, everybody acted the same, but I felt like I wanted to try some things. When trying anything new, there always comes a unknown factor, something that scares you deep down, like the little things that shouldn't matter. Like, is someone going to say something about my hair, my nails, my face, my outfit?
Garland says he's learned to embrace being scared and nervous as part of the journey when trying new things. As for Zielinski, she feels fortunate she can be open and confident for the most part about who she is.
Like, in most situations, I'm like, yeah, this is who I am, deal with it.
In other Webster athletics news, the women's basketball team ended their regular season as SLIAX tournament champs for the second year in a row.
But while the Lady Gorlocks enjoyed some postseason dancing, the season ended earlier for the men's team. Webster Insider's Carl Moore recently caught up with the team. Carl, what can you tell us?
Hey Josh, the top-seeded men's basketball team finished their regular season 14-13 overall, but failed to Fontbonne during the SLIAC tournament final. But the team remains hopeful in anticipation of what's next.
Now that the season is over for the Gorlocks, team seniors and super seniors are taking some time to reflect.
So I chose Webster because it seemed really good to me. The environment, the city, it's just a very good place. The school as well, and the academics and stuff like that. It's very good program.
I love my teammates, man. It's a really good community here at Webster. I've never had like a better organization. We really bonded. We do a lot of stuff. We had a lot of inside jokes, and that's pretty neat. They're all loving, they're all respecting, and honestly, I wouldn't be part of anywhere else. I love it here at Webster.
Then there are the super seniors like Forrest Stephen Hawkins, who decided to come play for another year.
A big part of me coming back was trying to finish off and get my degree. Also, I wanted to continue to play with my guys. Those are the main reasons why I came back.
Several players will be graduating this year, with some already making plans for after college.
After graduation, I've accepted a role at JP Morgan Chase in New York City. The past couple of summers, I did an internship with them, and after graduation, that's where I'll be going.
For the Webster Insider, I'm Carl Moore.
Well, is it true? Are snow days going to be a thing of the past? We all remember back when every school kid's wish was to stay home, even if there's just a hint of snow in the forecast.
Now, snow or no snow, the appeal of staying home, or rather being stuck at home, was no longer the same. Ever since the COVID outbreak in 2019, remote learning or Zooming has made its way into schools, causing big changes for teachers and students. Professor Ralph Ologist is an expert in educational technology. He believes college students have it easier than those in elementary, middle, and high school because college students have their work already organized online.
So on the college level, while online learning is not for everyone, it does make it somewhat convenient for those that can do it.
The professor says younger students really need hands-on learning for subjects like math and science because it makes for a better learning experience. For students who already consider certain courses a challenge, the added impact of remote learning will begin to show its toll.
And if you feel stressed out, you're not going to do very well. If you're not happy, if you're not relaxed, you're not looking forward to those things, you're not going to learn. You've got to want to learn.
Many students welcome the threat of severe weather as a break from the norm. Student athlete Susan George enjoyed her time playing soccer in the fall. Whenever it was a snowy day, the team would practice indoors.
It's not something that we can control, and as an athlete, you kind of have to have this discipline in your mindset that no matter what happens, you have to have your game day face on and you have to be ready to practice, you have to be ready to perform. So snow days is a challenge, but a challenge that is expected to be overcome by athletes.
Just like an athlete who never stops working, university staffs have learned to adjust to the so-called new normal when they take their work home.
It does kind of take away the excitement of an unexpected day off, usually has. So I kind of regret them changing that from snow day, to working remotely or learning remotely. But I do see the value in it too.
While most students welcome any bonus time off from schoolwork, the type of snow days allowed, there are some benefits to virtual classrooms, including being able to access learning tools regardless of where students are.
Students at the School of Communications are banding together to bring back Galaxy Radio and the Galaxy Podcast. Here's our report from Maddie Zuki.
This is Webster Student Voice, the Galaxy.
Since its online debut in 2007, Galaxy Radio has been one way for students to communicate with each other at Webster University. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, the station sat mostly empty and unused. Since last semester, journalism major Lauren Brennicky and other students have been trying to revive the Galaxy Podcast.
We had to wait a little bit to get permission from the School of Communications to use all the equipment and use even the Galaxy name, since the radio station has been shut down for a while.
We have about 15 on the Discord, but we haven't really done any advertising for it yet. We're still in the very early stages, and we're going to start advertising here shortly. And we're just going to do as much as we can to get the word out to as many people as we can.
And there's plenty of work to go around for anyone who wants to be involved.
So everybody else would either be able to help with behind the scenes stuff, so that could be editing, that could be controlling the equipment while they're recording. They're actually revamping the radio station, what it is right now, into more of a podcasting station.
With revival underway, the Galaxy Podcast can now start building up not just a base of dedicated fans, but also more people to help with creating and producing the programs on a regular basis. Back to you.
Thanks, Maddie. Earlier this year, the School of Communications hosted a successful open house to showcase the state-of-the-arts renovation to the west wing of Swerdrup Hall.
The event saw as many as 700 guests, including members of the public, Webster alums, and current students. The improvements are expected to be truly transformative for students and their learning experience. And as registration opens up for the upcoming semester, it's a good idea to become familiar with what's new at Swerdrup to inform your choices come fall.
More than just a new look, the renovation completely gutted one end of the building, making new spaces for game development, studio photography, and video and audio production.
The final product, I think it's better than I had hoped for. And I've been using this studio since the school year has started, or the semester has started, and it's totally awesome.
I didn't realize how much they were changing and like how many new things they were adding, but I've been able to have some classes in like the new screening room and in like the virtual room with the LED wall, which is super cool, and I'm very excited to like get to work with that wall. I think it's very cool.
Students who enroll in communications classes in the fall will have the opportunity to experiment with the new technologies in both introductory and advanced level classes.
Part of the audio program is one of the first classes you take is a lecture that basically explains everything to you in the most basic aspects of audio right away. And there's 2 classes that go along with that, and it's like a lab and a practicum. So right away, you are in the new studios, with all of this equipment. They don't wait to get you on the big gear because you need to know how to use it.
And student-run clubs like the Audio Engineering Society, or AES, Webster Film Association, and Webster SIGGRAPH provide even more outlets to explore the new edition.
New students that want to get involved and want to take advantage of everything, the best way you can really get a leg in the door is AES. We kind of play with what we have in the studios. We talk about things that you're not talking about in class, but it's still audio related kind of stuff. So it's even more exploration.
Some students find themselves in Sverdrup's West Wing for personal projects such as student-made films, albums, or video games.
Almost everybody can check out the studios for their own use for whatever project they want to work on, or they don't even have to do it for homework if they want to just use the studios and take advantage of that, because it's so much fun to just dig your fingers into, and it's kind of scary at first if you don't know how everything works, but it's also your learning environment, and part of it is you can make mistakes in that environment and learn from it and keep growing with it.
Registration for the fall semester begins the first full week of April. Well, celebration is in the air as Webster's Emerson Library gears up to mark a birthday milestone.
That's right. The library turns 20 years old this year, and reporter Lonnie Walton has the scoop on what's in store.
Emerson Library is celebrating its 20th anniversary this summer.
So when I started, there were still card catalogs, and that was how you found the books. And during the 90s, obviously the internet exploded, and all of a sudden there were all these other needs. We started offering access to online databases. Students started expecting to be able to write their papers on word processors in the library. And so we had to start adding computing resources, and we really had very, very little space to do it.
The library wasn't always in the same spot. In the early 1900s, it took up space in Webster Hall. In 1969, it moved to the LGBTQ building. Then in 2003, the Brown House and a parking lot on Edgar Road were torn down to make way for Emerson Library. The 72,500 square foot building has electronic classrooms, conference rooms, video game rooms, and more than 90 computers, plus more than 500,000 ebooks. As for services, there are many, from help with online research to printing a document.
That you can get research help 24/7, that a real person is always available to chat with you on the library website, and it's never a bot, always a real person. With print books and with journal articles online, if we don't have those, we can almost always get those for you.
Library celebration, there'll be a book giveaway every single month this year. There will also be some special guests stopping by for a visit. And the best part, you get to throw paper airplanes off the second floor balcony. And what's next for the library? According to the dean, it would be looking a little different in the near future.
The other thing we're interested in doing is a renovation of the second floor. We're kind of considering that whole area as sort of a blank slate. We have a space planning committee that we've established here in the library, and they're just kind of starting to think about it. They'll get input from the students, and we're just really open to a lot of different possibilities.
The library's official birthday is not until July 1st, but we're told the celebration will be taking place all year long. For more information, visit the library's website at library.webster.edu. Kennedy?
Sounds like a lot of fun things to look forward to. Thank you, Lonnie. And that concludes the edition of the Webster Insider. I'm Kennedy Moore.
And I'm Josh Wright. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here for our summer edition in early May. Until then, we wish you a happy spring.